All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the California Department of Veterans Affairs and the California Transition Assistance Program, we'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, which is going to be highlighting the CalVet Home Loan Program. We have a lot of great information to share with you today. We'd also like to say hello and thank you to our partner on today's webinar, Samuel Merritt University, and their Veterans Resource Center there on campus. So thank you for allowing us to host this webinar in partnership with you today. So before we get started, let me first introduce myself. My name is Derek Rose, and I serve as a CalTAP training coordinator for the CalTAP program. Just some general housekeeping for today's webinar. We do ask that if you are not a speaker or a host or co-host of the meeting, to please keep your cameras off and your microphones muted. This just helps eliminate on some of the bandwidth for the presentation and eliminate some of the distractions. As far as the agenda goes for today, we're going to be highlighting some California-specific veterans benefits that are offered here in the state of California for yourself as a veteran or possibly your family members as well. And then we are going to cover some of our regional outreach programs. And then we're going to dive into our home loans program with our home loans representative, Mr. Brad Pedersen, from our home loans division. Throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, if you hear something that you want clarification on, we do ask that you utilize that chat feature and direct those questions directly to my colleague, Mr. Kirk Eller, who is on the other end of that CalTAP questions tab. This will just allow Kirk to field those questions, and then whether he can answer them on the spot for you, or we'll allow some time at the end of the presentation for specific questions that have come to that. So Kirk is going to be using the chat feature to send out some information as we're speaking along. But if you yourself have questions, please use the CalTAP questions tab to submit those questions. So our program, the California Transition Assistance Program, or CalTAP. Just going to kind of go over a little overview of our program and how to find our benefits and services. Again, my name is Derek Rose, United States Navy veteran. Been working with the CalTAP program for about 5 years now. So I'm really excited to be able to come back and share this information with you today. What exactly is CalTAP? Well, just as it says, it's designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to their federal and state benefits. And as those needs change over time, we understand all veterans' needs are different, and those needs change, and those services that are offered. So the way that we've designed our program is through our Pathways program, and you can see what each one of those 5 pathways are. Everything from our core curriculum, which is basically VA Benefits 101, everything from how to enroll in VA healthcare, how to file for a service-connected disability claim, what exactly are your benefits? And we're going to be covering some of that today, specifically here in the state of California. And our additional pathway programs, if you want to go back to school and use your education benefits, if you are planning your next career and looking for effective ways to do a job search, if you want to start your own business for our entrepreneurship program, and if you are a service provider, whether that's an employer or a legal representative or anybody who works with and serves veterans, we also have our service provider pathway. So I'd also like to plug our California Veterans Resource Book. This is a great tool to keep handy. If you don't have a hard copy, we will send a PDF version in the chat so where you can download it and follow along, or just keep that with you. It really is a great and a valuable tool. It covers all of your benefits from the federal side to the state side, which is CalVet, of course, and local assistance and nonprofit assistance in there as well. So all of the eligibility and kind of the fine print for all of your benefits can be found within this resource book. So how can you actually find our program, CalTAP, through our website? So this is CalVet's main page. And if you scrolled or just see that highlight on the right-hand middle right there, that is our CalTAP program. And if you clicked on CalTAP, it would bring you to each one of those pathways that I mentioned. it's a little cut off at the bottom there, but down on the bottom, it also is our archive series of webinars. So along with this webinar, which will also be recorded and placed on our website, you can go back and view all of the webinars that the CalTAP team has hosted and posted on our website. And we cover an array of topics, from housing, home loans, education benefits, mental health, employment, and what have you. So on your own time, feel free to check us out on our website and maybe learn some more information on a different topic, or join us in the future for additional topics. So if we clicked on that core curriculum, which is highlighted right there, that would bring you to all of the modules that are within that pathway. So like I mentioned, everything from healthcare to claims and compensation, to financial literacy courses and modules as well. But for today, we just want to focus on that module 5, which is the California specific benefits that are offered here in the state. So exactly what are they? Again, all of this can be found in your resource book, just to highlight that for you. But let's just do a quick overview of what the state has to offer. So we do offer a college and tuition fee waiver program for veterans dependents. So if you are a service-connected disabled veteran with a 0% rating, your dependent child can go to school tuition-free at any CSU, UC, or California community college. So if you are in the process of applying for a service-connected disability, or you think you may be eligible for a service-connected disability, definitely recommend reaching out to a veteran service officer to kind of review your information and your records and consider applying for that benefit if you've earned it. We also partner with the DMV for a few different benefits. One is the veteran's designation on your driver's license, to have the word veteran printed on your driver's license, which just goes to show your veteran status, for all of your local discounts and benefits and services, wherever, veterans, discounts are offered, or just a way to have that designation so you don't have to carry around your paper DD-214 everywhere you go. If you have a 100% VA rating and you have a limited mobility or mobility impaired, you can apply for disabled veterans license plates, which would then waive your motor vehicle registration fee for that one vehicle. Recreational activities, California is a great place for that. So you can apply for a reduced fee on hunting and fishing licenses, as well as a no-cost state parks pass. The Distinguished Veteran State Parks Pass allows you free entry into all of the state parks. If you're 100% rated with the VA, you can apply for the Disabled Veteran Property Tax Exemption. That is a certain exemption amount up to a certain amount of dollars. You think you just have to check with your county assessor's office. But if you are 100% rated, you should definitely apply through your county assessor to have a portion of your property tax exempt. Business license. If you want to obtain a business license to sell any products or goods, you should always check with your issuing office, whether it's a city or a county, to see if they will honor that exemption for you. Calvet Home Loans. I'm just going to save this for our presentation today, but it's a great program and you're going to learn a lot of information from Brad. He's a great speaker, great presenter, and a lot of great information and education on the home loans program. We also have our women's and minority and underrepresented divisions at Calvet. They do a lot of great outreach, training, and advocacy for all of California's women and minority veterans as well. So a lot of great work that's being done at Calvet. We also operate 8 homes for long-term care at our Calvet Veterans Homes. These homes range from all levels of care, from independent living through skilled nursing facilities. So if you are in the time of need, or you have a friend who is a veteran or a family member who's also in the time of need, please know that they do have eligibility for residency in a Calvet Veterans Home. And lastly, Calvet also operates 3 state cemeteries. You may be familiar with the national VA cemeteries nationwide, but Calvet does operate 3 on a state level. So that is just a kind of a quick high-level overview of some of the benefits that are offered. So I do hope that you took something away from this, and Maybe you learned something today that you weren't aware of. So some additional common veteran websites that you may come across. Of course, there's the VA, va.gov. That's where you can go to manage all of your healthcare needs, learn more about applying for service-connected disability, printing out your award letters, downloading your records, all of your certificates of eligibility for home loans and your GI Bill eligibility as well can all be found through the VA. Instead of e-benefits, it's navigating into what's called My VA, which is kind of a centralized portal for all things VA. Just kind of connects everything together, kind of a one-stop shop for all of your VA-related needs. My Health eVet, a great way to, if you choose to receive your healthcare through the VA, to where you can go to manage all of your prescriptions and schedule all of your appointments and things of that nature. So some ways to connect with us. You can always reach out to us directly at our email address at CalTAP. You can register through our website for our My CalVet on our homepage. Definitely follow us along on our social media platforms as well, which will allow you to attend all of our upcoming webinars. And we do have a QR code right here for a survey for today's program. We do value your feedback. Just allows us to make sure that we're presenting the most up-to-date, current, and beneficial information for you all. So if you have a moment, maybe just pull out your smartphone, scan that QR code. We'll be sharing it again, but we do value that feedback as well. This is our webpage, My CalVet. Like I mentioned, this allows you to just create a personalized profile on our website to stay up to date with benefits, services, announcements, and be included in our monthly newsletter, which is right here. This newsletter is from our Deputy Secretary, Mr. Keith Boylan. And every month we highlight a theme for that month of kind of what we want to talk about and provide education on. Also, this will allow you to follow us along and register for all of our events, whether they're virtual events or in-person events. If you want to, if you find an event that's near you, you're always more than welcome to show up and connect with us in person. All right, so that is my name and my contact information. I'll be happy to speak with you about anything that we cover today. Please reach out to me directly, and I'll take all the time needed to walk you through anything that you hear today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Kirk, who is filling in for our Bay Area link, Mr. Kevin Graves. But Kirk is here to share that information with you. So whenever you're ready, the floor is yours, Kirk, and I got your slides.
All right. Thank you, Derek. Yeah, I'm Kevin Graves 1.2. So my name is Kirk Eller. I'm a training coordinator with Derek here in the CalTAP unit. And Kevin is on assignment, so I will be filling in for him. Just kind of going over what his roles and responsibilities are as a local interagency network coordinator, or LINK. Next slide. So links are actually provide outreach service to members and veterans and their families, and they are what we like to call that boots on the ground within your region where you are located. And they can actually make one-on-one referrals and work directly with those established service providers that you're looking for benefits for. So if you need to get somebody through VA healthcare, or if you need to get benefits, or maybe contact the county office, or even assist with local emergencies, which is where Kevin is actually now at one of what they call a disaster relief center or a local assistance center. And during this process, they like to provide leadership and advocacy to local communities as well. So they work with the community leaders and the organizations where they reside one-on-one to provide, hey, I'm a veteran resource for this region. Please contact me if you have any need for any kind of information. Next slide. This is the map, and it kind of shows where they're located and what regions that they cover throughout these regions. If you look up north in the orange area, that's Cole Wagner, and he has from Sacramento and Tuolumne counties all the way north to the Oregon border, east of Nevada, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. So he has a wide area that he has to cover, but he knows a lot of resources and connections within that organization, within that region. Now, Kevin is the Bay Area link, and his is covered in the green region. He does have a large concentration of veterans in this organization, in this region. So he's very familiar with the people that you need to be connected with, either through VA healthcare, VA benefits, education resources at the veteran resource centers at all the colleges, and then just the know, and he can give you that warm handoff if you're looking for benefits. Next slide. Things that he can actually help you with. He knows people through the EDD, as well as the veteran representatives that are located in the America Job Center, or AJCCs. And then he also mentioned that the county veteran service offices in your region where you live. He can access them and give you a referral to them directly. And not only a direct referral, but that warm handoff. So you're not just going in there cold, hey, I'm some person off the street, which they would do anyway. But he's actually knows these veteran officers personally and can basically give you a handoff to them saying, hey, would you be taking care of this person? And he also is a CalVet employee, so he knows all those state benefits as well. He knows people at the VA medical centers and the clinics, as well as the vet centers, to assist with either mental health or your health benefits that you're looking for there. Next slide. This is his contact information. The 800 number there, you can be reached by a live person. And this is his email for the Bay Area link, and he will be sure to get back with you if you have any questions on how to contact him. And then I'll turn it back over to you, Derek.
Great. Thank you, Kirk.
My pleasure.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Brad Pedersen, who is our CalVet Home Loans Program representative. Like I said, Brad has a wealth of experience, and so we're just honored to have him today and to share his knowledge with the rest of the group. So with that, Brad, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, Derek. I really get excited to talk to student veterans because it's a little bit different, and you're on the path to success. I already know that. So I know you're gathering information, you're getting ready. So I want to approach this a little differently. I want to kind of give you the history and talk about why you might want to know who CalVet Home Loans is. So let me first give you a 1-minute history lesson. The year was 1921, and what was happening in 1921 is our service members were all coming home from World War I. Now, the state of California, the government of California, the population of California, at that time, they were so patriotic, they were so excited to meet these service members. And they said to themselves, they said, hey, what could we do above and beyond the federal benefits that they've earned? What could we do as a state just to say thank you to our California veterans? So they looked at the demographics, and in 1921, they started the California Farm and Home Loan Program. A lot of farm boys coming home. Now, if you fast forward to about 1943, that's when my division became one of the branches of the California Department of Veterans Affairs. And what I really love is, even today, if you were to come up to Sacramento and I took you up on the second floor, on the front door there, it still says to this day, Farm and Home Loan. And I love that because it kind of talks about our roots. It explains that we're over 100 years old and that we don't just make one loan. We don't just make a CalVet loan or a VA loan, right? Those two that everybody thinks are the only choices. No, we have many loan programs. We do farm loans, like our name says. We do construction loans. We do loans for mobile homes in a mobile home park. We actually do an interesting loan for a mobile home, modular home that's been put on a lot in a permanent-like manner. We often can treat that like a single family residence and use a zero down program. We do refinancing. We do rehab loans. We also do low income housing loans. A lot of people don't even know we do that. We have all kinds of programs that we've come out with over 100 years. As the decades rolled by, we would find different niche needs and we would fill them. And then as time went by, we maybe wouldn't use those programs so much. But there's a problem with being 100 years old. Next slide, please. I have found that a lot of people, next slide, please. A lot of people read stuff on the internet and assume if it's on the internet, it's never changing its fact. Well, that's not true. Our program evolves. And I think a lot of times people actually take pieces of our programs, like they'll look up the mobile home program and they'll take a piece and then they'll look up the construction program and they'll take a piece, and they'll look up the low income housing and they'll take a piece and they'll put them all together and publish it. No malintent. It just the information gets all mixed up and boggled and it's not quite right. But the thing that bothers me more than anything is that at one time, because of the way the program developed, you could only apply for a CalVet loan at one time if you had entered your service life from the state of California. But we've changed that. That's no longer the case. And it really worries me because we kind of know from internal checking that probably over a third of the people we fund loans for every month have been told by other lenders, no, you're not worthy. We won't give you a loan. They've been turned down. We have a different process and we're able to get them approved. But I'm very concerned that there's a ton of people out there who don't understand that everybody can apply now for the CalVet loan. It doesn't matter where you entered service. It doesn't matter where you're serving or where you served. All that matters is that you qualify for the loan and that you're going to live in the house within 60 days of closing, basically. So if you could help me get that out, that would take a big lump off my back that I worry about, because I just have a feeling that there's literally thousands and thousands of veterans out there who are qualified by our process to be a homeowner who don't even know they can apply. Next slide, please. So I kind of brought it up earlier that most people tend to think there's just two loan choices really when you're talking veterans loans. There's either the federal VA home loan or there's the California veteran home loan, VA or CalVet. And people ask me every week, I get the question, Brad, what's better, the CalVet home loan or the VA home loan? Or what's the difference between the CalVet home loan and the VA home loan? And I've answered this question so many times that I actually came up with a pat answer that if I'm standing in front of you, it almost looks like a dance because I always talk with my hands and I move around. So here's what I do. I'm going to teach it to you because I'd like you to be able to tell people too. What I do is I hold up a hand and I say, look, you got to understand when we're talking about the federal VA home loan, federal VA doesn't actually loan the money. What federal VA does is they issue a loan guarantee to any lender in any county or city that wants to make a federally guaranteed VA home loan. That's sort of like an insurance policy that they'll give to that lender that says, hey, if our veteran defaults, we'll cover you for up to 25% of the lost loan amount. Now, I want to always stop here and say, I love the federal VA home loan. It is a fantastic loan. It should be in what I call your toolbox of home ownership and refinancing for the rest of your life. You should know that program. You should understand that program. And you should always look and see, is this the best program at this moment for you? Now, with that being said, who's CalVet? Well, I gave you the 1-minute history lesson. We're really weird. CalVet is actually the state of California acting as a lender for the benefit, as a gift, as a thank you to our veterans. We're very strange. We can do very unique and different things from other lenders. Our loan officers are not commission-based. I actually call them benefits officers. Their job is to help you get into a home as best they can. Their job is to always tell you the truth. If they think you'll do better with a different loan program, they'll tell you. This is an unusual situation. But my favorite loan that nobody seems to get this, as much as I talk about it, it doesn't always register. So I'm hoping it's going to register with you. CalVet is unique. We have the ability to do things that no one else can do. And one of the things that we can do uniquely is we can take your federal VA home loan benefit that you've earned and fund it through the state of California's CalVet program, putting the state and the federal benefits together into one loan. It's easy math. 1 + 1 is 2. You get more stuff. You get the federal and the state benefits pushed together into one loan. That makes it extremely powerful and flexible. It's a fantastic loan program that helps many people who have heard no numerous times hear a yes. Next slide, please. So usually if I'm talking to somebody, they say, well, what do I get? What's different? Why is it better? Why do I want these two? And there's a lot of stuff. If I have longer, I talk about this bucket of benefits, this bucket of benefits, bucket of bribes. The state of California, let's face it, they don't want you to move out of the state. They want you to stay here. You're good neighbors. You're the type of people they want. They want you here. So they're saying, here's this bucket of benefits, stay here. That's my opinion, but I think it's very well rounded and very well true, and it proves out. They want to keep you here, right? So they've got this bucket of benefits. Now, there's a lot of stuff in there that won't apply to you, or that you wouldn't be interested in, or it's more area specific or income specific. There's a lot of stuff in there. But one thing that I pull out when I'm doing a short talk like this is how we actually do the process, because again, we're extremely unique. We're different than everybody else. You see, if you were to go for a home loan today, and I'm going to call it the bank on the corner today. If you walked into the bank on the corner and you said, hey, I'd like to apply for my VA home loan benefit, what do? They'll hand you an 8-page form. It's called a 1003 loan application. It's common throughout the industry. We use it too. You'll fill that 1003 8-page loan information form out, and you'll hand it back to the lender. The lender will then type it into their computer system. And after they type everything in there, they hit enter. And then the computer will run that application through a series of reviews and checks. It'll look things over, and the computer will ultimately issue something that's commonly called a desktop underwriting decision. Computer sort of decides. Now, a way that I typically know a veteran may have gone through this process and not been successful is I get a phone call and it starts something like this. It'll say, hey, Brad, what's your minimum FICO requirement? You see, that's a big one. Most lenders today are looking for a minimum of a 620 FICO minimum. That's pretty typical. I get to say, Calvet doesn't have a minimum FICO score. And I always have to stop and say, that doesn't mean you can have horrible credit. It just means we don't use a score to eliminate anyone. We do this process very differently. You see, with the Calvet process, what's going to happen is a human being is going to open your loan application. They're going to look at it. They're going to open your credit report. They're going to look at it. And they're going to talk to you about it. They're going to go, oh, it looks like something happened about 3 years ago on your credit report. You were doing okay, and then it just kind of fell off. What happened 3 years ago? And you'll say, oh, I lost my job, broke my leg, I had an operation, I went through a divorce. That's a big one. And then what the loan officer is going to do is say, okay, what happened next? You see, we know everybody hits a wall sometimes in their life. I think there's very few people who go through life that never hit that obstacle, never hit that wall. I'm not so concerned that you hit a wall. What I want to know is, what did you do when you got to the other side of it? Are you running again? Did you make your payments on time? If I look at someone's credit report that maybe they have a 577 FICO, considered too low by most lenders, but I see that they hit that wall and now they've made all their payments on time for 12 months. That might be good enough for me. I might say that's pretty good credit. Based on everything else I see, I think this is okay. If I see 24 months of payments being made after they hit that wall, I will generally call that excellent credit. They figured it out. Yeah, they had a problem in life, but they overcame it and they're running again. Calvet is going to personalize this whole process for you by asking questions and applying common sense. Next slide, please. Another thing we can do unique is very different. And by the way, I think this is very common. A lot of people, they say, oh, I had a short sale, I had a foreclosure, I was on this base, I got transfer orders, I couldn't sell the property. And so we ended up in short sale, or I had to foreclose it. Hey, this is really common in the military. I think it's more common in civilian life just because of the nature right, of being transferred around and changes like that. We understand that. We look at this differently. If you were to go again to that bank on the corner and say, hey, I'd like to apply for another VA loan. I did have a short sale or I had a foreclosure a couple years back, but I'd like to see if I could get another VA loan. What do you think? What they're going to do is a very common practice. They'll all do it the same. They'll get your certificate of eligibility entitlement from federal VA. On there, there'll be this number, and that number represents how much was paid out on your behalf by federal VA covering that lender on the last short sale or foreclosure. Then they'll do this funky math, which I'm not even going to try to explain, but they'll do the math and then they'll make a statement, something like this to you. They'll say, well, based on the remaining partial entitlement, if you qualify for the loan, it looks like the maximum zero down federally VA guaranteed loan would be around, and for round numbers, I'll say 400,000. And I have found that almost always, my veterans always come back and say, oh, I want it 500,000. What can you do for me? And the bank on the corner has a good answer for that, actually. They say, yeah, we understand just the differential between 400 and 500,000, that $100,000 differential, we need a 25% down payment on just the differential. So that would be 25,000. So that would be a $500,000 purchase with a $25,000 down payment and a $475,000 VA loan. That's not bad financing. It's just not what most of my veterans want. And that's why I love what Calvet does, is they'll actually do this weird thing again. They'll apply common sense. They'll open up the application, they'll look at it, and they'll ask you some questions, and they'll really ask themselves this question. Here's really what they're asking. Are they going to default on this loan? Do we think we can get hurt on this loan? Are our investors safe with this loan? Many, many, many times in that exact scenario, they'll come out and they'll say this. They'll say, you know what? We're going to go ahead and step in the gap. We're going to join hands with federal VA. We're going to issue you a zero down $500,000 Calvet/VA home loan. You don't need the down payment. Now, sometimes we can't help everybody. You know, that's reality, right? Not everybody's ready. Not everybody's ready to be a homeowner. It's the truth. By the way, one thing I love, we have we're hiring, everybody else is, you'll see firing everybody right now. We're hiring new loan officers. We're doing training right now. We train them. If you can't say yes to a veteran, if they apply and you're not ready, they're not ready, you don't just say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. You give them a path to home ownership. We actually tell them to suspend the loan and tell them what they need to do to get prepared to buy a home. Give them a path. I call it a path to home ownership. Tell them what you need to work on. These are the things you need to get ready so that we can say yes. You know, it's our desire to say yes to every veteran. It's sort of, in my mind, our mandate. We want to get veterans into houses. So we're trying to help you and show you the path you got to walk down. You know, here's the answers to the test. Study, get it right, come back to us, and we're going to get you into a house. We want people to be successful. Now, sometimes maybe somebody has that $400,000 zero down VA protection, you know, loan that I talked about, but they want $1 million home, and we just can't fill the gap. We're like, it's just too much. We can't take that much on. I find almost always, what they'll do, because it's always one-on-one, they'll look at that application and they'll say, in your situation, can you give us 10% of the differential? Can you give us 15% of the differential? Can you give us 5% of the differential? We'll ask for an amount that in general, most of the time is much less than that 25%. We want to get the veteran in, we want to help them, and if we can figure a way to do it, we will. By the way, this whole process also works if you have a VA loan that you haven't had short sale foreclosure. Maybe you have a condo in Maryland and you're renting it out and you're in California, you want to buy another property. We apply the same math. I think you're in a better position. You never had a short sale, you never had a foreclosure, and you have equity in a property, right? Or maybe you even have a home here in California and you say, I want to rent my house out and buy another home, we apply the same basic math and help people stretch to get into their second home. It's a fantastic way to end up having 2 VA home loans because of your unique situation. Next slide, please. How much do we loan? Well, I kind of intimated. We'll actually go as high as 1,361,000 plus some change, which kind of blows my mind. Next slide, please. So you can get a 0 down $1,361,625 loan. We'll underwrite that. But I got to tell you, you got to make a huge bucket of money to be able to make that payment every month with 0 down, right? I think maybe even more realistic and more interesting is the other number, the 907,750. That's the minimum maximum we'll go in anywhere in California. Anywhere you can go, out in the middle of the desert, we'll still loan up to $907,000 if you qualify, if the property qualifies. That number works for most of our veterans. Most of our veterans loans are not over $1 million. They're less. So that 900 gets a lot of people into houses, and most lenders would call that a jumbo. We do not. It's just our loan limit. Next slide, please. My favorite thing to talk about when I have time is all the unique stories. You know, I have one when I hang up today. I'm going to work on a unique veteran need. We're really good at digging in and helping the one. You know, everybody talks about, well, how many loans did you close? How many did you do? We're worried about that one just as much. We take the time to help veterans who have specific needs figure out what they need to do. Now, that time, by the way, might only be 3 to 5 minutes. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get where I talk for 3 or 5 minutes and we've covered what they need to do or what their situation is, and at least they have a path now. So next slide, please. I typically will have a letter written by a veteran that handles some type of a thing that's going on. And right now, this letter is common right now. Ever since interest rates started going back up about 5-6 months ago so much, we've been having tons and tons of calls from veterans who've said things like this. They said, Brad, I was pre-approved. I'm ready to close escrow in a little bit, and my lender went out of business. What do I do? Or this letter, I think, from memory, Brad, we bought a home from a builder. The lender said everything was fine. We gave all the deposits. We did everything, all the inspections, the whole bit. We've hired the moving company. We're supposed to move in 3 weeks, and this is stacked. There's a number of moves. I think in this one there was 3 steps where one moves, the next moves. Everybody's waiting for this. And now the lender said that computer system is saying no, it's not approving us. You see, the lender will rerun that system when you get close to closing to make sure you didn't go buy a BMW or something to change everything. And sometimes the system just doesn't see something the right way, and it's not a human being applying common sense. It just says no. And that's what happened to these people, actually. If you look at it and read the words, I think that's what this letter will outlines. And basically, this wasn't that hard for us, except for the timing. We had to take this loan and fund it in 14 days so everybody could follow their track. We did that. We do that often. Please don't do that to us if you don't need to. Usually it takes about 30 days to close a loan. And when you close one in 14 days, that means somebody's running around the office from place to place and calling people and you know, calling in favors. Well, actually, I'll brag on, I'll get off here, but we just had a story fairly recently. We closed a loan in 4 days. Now, I did check into it because I was like, how did we possibly close a loan in 4 days? Well, what happened is they had already made an application with us and an application with the builder at the same time. The builder said, don't worry, we're going to beat them. We're going to give you the best rate. Everything's going to be great. They got down to the nitty gritty and the builder said, oh, it's going to cost you more. And the vet said, I'm approved at CalVet. I'm switching lenders. And they switched over. So we had everything. We were ready. But we had to still, within 4 days, get docs and everything out, and they closed escrow, and we closed escrow in 4 days on that one. That's, I think, a record. I don't think we've ever done anything faster than that. And please don't do that to us. If you do have a problem, though, call me. We're going to do what we can for you. But usually it's about a 30-day process for this. Next slide, please. So there's a lot of benefits. And if I had an hour, we could talk about a lot more benefits. But right now, I'm going to tell you about one that as time has gone on, I found, wow, this is really valuable. And this benefit, by the way, is the home insurance. And you can only get the insurance policies from Calvet if you fund your loan through Calvet. Because I always get calls, can I switch to the Calvet insurance? I have a loan right now, and I have to say, no, I'm sorry, you can't. You can only have the insurance when you take out your loan through Calvet, and they put it on when they take out the loan. Can't switch. The reason you'd want it is it's really kind of an old-fashioned policy. When I first looked at it, I thought this is great because the deductibles were so low. The deductible for hazard insurance is $250. The deductible for your fire insurance is $250. The deductible for the flood insurance is $500. And the deductible for earthquake insurance is $500 or the unheard of 5%. Fantastic, fantastic. But what I didn't even realize is buried in there, there's this clause, full replacement cost guarantee. You don't find that very much anymore. I didn't know how important that was until we had the Paradise fires in Northern California a couple of years ago. Overnight, all those homes were gone. The whole community was devastated. We, Calvet, lost 26 homes that we financed in that one fire. Everybody woke up to a new reality after the fire. Many people, most of the people, found out they were underinsured. Their insurance policies would not cover the rebuild. And the reason was because the cost of materials had tripled and the cost of labor had tripled because of the fire. There was such a demand in that little area. I remember, actually, a side note, driving through there, I was going up and talking, and I went to stay, and the whole motels were all lined with construction. People were driving up and staying in hotels doing construction work. Can you imagine the extra cost to put everybody up in hotels, pay for their food, to do the labor, because everybody had to come in? I actually met a gentleman, and he came up to me about 5 months ago, and he said, Brad, I lost my home. I was one of the 26. My house was like $320 when I bought it. I have the receipts. They paid over $700,000 out on my behalf to rebuild my house. All 26 of our homes were rebuilt for $250 in that fire. This insurance is fantastic. It's an extra bonus in that bucket that we probably don't talk about enough. Next slide, please. So I want to talk about it a little more. I sort of stole these slides, these emails. I saw this and I go, oh my goodness, this is sort of what I'm trying to explain to people. I'm trying to tell you, if you haven't figured out, we actually really care. We really want to help you. We're not commission-based. We're just trying to help our veterans get into houses any way we possibly can. We don't have an answer for everybody, but we sure want to try. This is an actual email that went out on August 17, 2021 at 9:22 in the morning from a veteran to one of our local interagency network coordinators at an emergency center during the Grizzly Flats fires. And he basically said, look, we had to evacuate our home. I'm afraid we're homeless. It's myself, my wife, my 89-year-old mother, and my 4-year-old daughter. Now, I suspect he was probably like in a high school gym with cots, you know, and the table with water on the side and the little muffins wrapped in plastic. And he's reaching out at 9:22 in the morning and saying, I don't know what to do. Next slide, please. That's 10:01. And Cole Wagner, the guy that's in charge of that whole huge area in Northern California, is emailing him back. And I think he probably copy and pasted the top of this. He said, hey, if you need a place to go, here's the evacuation center. Once you get there, reach out to Calvet Insurance. Here's the phone numbers. And then he says, I've also included some resources that might help you. Here's their phone numbers. Then at the bottom, he has this one line. I'm going to call your phone after I send this to talk it through. Next slide, please. So now it's just 16 minutes later. It's 10:17 in the morning. And Cole Wagner is emailing Steve, who's the manager up at the home protection unit, the fire insurance unit. And he says, hey, Steve, just a heads up. I spoke with the vet. He's safe. I gave him your number. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help out in any way. Next slide, please. Now it's 11:01 in the morning, and Gary Bonin, who is the loan production operation manager for Calvet, he's the guy on top overlooking the divisions. He's actually emailing back to Cole, and he's saying, hey, Cole, Steve, the manager from Home Protection's already been in touch with the veteran, and Calvet will provide him housing as long as he's evacuated. If his home's a total loss, we will be with him every step of the way. Thanks for the heads up. 11:01. And when I saw that series of emails, I couldn't help but put myself in that veteran's shoes. I couldn't help but think about what it was probably like to have his 89-year-old mom sitting there on a cot maybe, or in a parking lot with his 4-year-old wondering, where do we go today? Within 2 hours to receive that kind of response, that kind of support. I think it says it better than any way I could possibly say how much we want to help. Next slide, please. So I love to talk about other programs. I know that sounds odd to other lenders. They even look at me funny, and I've had people say, well, what's in it for you? Do you get paid? No, I don't. What I want to do is give you all the information, even if it means going to another lender. I want you to get the best deal for you at the time. So there's a lot out there to talk about. I'm going to talk about a few things, and then I would tell you, please call me when you're thinking about buying, and we'll talk about your individual scenario. Maybe there's something else that I haven't even mentioned, but I'm going to tell you about some programs that are out there. And also today I'm going to talk about an attitude. Let's start with the attitude. Okay. So last year, about October probably, I was talking about a program that was out that I felt was the best program in the state of California. It was not through Calvet. It was not. It was a special program where you applied, and if you were approved, they would give you a $20,000 down payment loan at 20% down payment loan at 0% interest. But if you made all the payments on the mortgage for 5 years and stayed in the property, they would forgive it. They would wipe it out. It was essentially free 20% down payment if you stayed for 5 years in the property. Fantastic program, unbelievable program. Talked to tons of people about it. It went everywhere I went. That was my fave. Of course, they ran out of money, right? They ran out of money pretty quick. Then there was another program. This program was for help in building what they call an accessory dwelling unit, mother-in-law quarter, a unit behind the house or above the garage, right? I thought this was a great program because a lot of people had already bought a property and had a 2.5% 30-year fixed VA home loan. And when they call me and say, hey, Brad, this lender thinks I should refi, what do you think? I say, no, don't refinance. You're sitting on gold now. But for them, I said, hey, if you've got room in your yard, or if it works in your plans, why not considering adding on, improving the property? There's a grant for up to $40,000 that you don't have to pay back to help you set up the plans and get your land all ready to build that accessory dwelling unit. So I talked to a lot of people about that, and they ran out of money. But what happened is a few months later, after they ran out of money, they sent out an email to lenders like myself, and they said, hey, we're going to open the program again on March 1st, I think it was, because not everybody completed their project or completed their applications or finished, right? So we have some money left. So they opened it up, and I don't even know how long it stayed open. I'm sure it was just maybe a week or something, but they opened it up and they let people come back in. So whoever was ready, who was ever prepared, who wanted it, those are the people probably who got that money, even though they were told they were out of money, it came back. I say that because who knows, that other program I talked about, maybe 90 days down the road or 30 days down the road, they'll say, oh, we have a little bit extra, and that program will come back. Less likely on that one. This year, there was a new program came out that I really thought was interesting, and it was unique for everybody. And I said, hey, this one you got to put your thinking cap on. It was an equity share program. So there's some different moving pieces in this. But here's basically what they were offering. They were saying, look, we'll give you 20% of the purchase price within limits and all that, but I'm not going to go into that. We'll give you 20% of the purchase price if you share the equity with us when you sell it someday. So basically, let's use an example. You bought a house for $500,000. They would give you $100,000 down. You would finance $400,000. And someday when you sold, you would give them their $100,000 and share of the equity somewhere roughly between 15 and 20% of the gain that you both made together, right? Now, I do point out, realize you're making 100% of the tax payment, and realize you're making 100% of the insurance payment, and you're doing all the maintenance on the house. But on the other hand, you don't have a roommate, you're occupying, you're living in the house, you're getting 100% of the benefit of owning that house, even though you're an 80% owner. I thought this was a unique program that was really good. I thought it would have a lot of merit. And they got $300 million. So I thought this is going to be one that maybe we could get a lot of people into homes with. They ran out of money in 9 days. That was not expected. But I would suggest be prepared. It's very possible 60, 90, 180 days down the road, they may come back and say, not everybody closed escrow. Not everybody qualified. We have extra money. We got more funds. Why not be prepared? Why not know about these programs? That's the attitude I'm trying to instill in you, is you got to do the research. You got to be prepared. You got to be willing to jump through some hoops, and maybe you'll be told no. Another example to say what I'm saying is it's like scholarship money. You know, you've got to apply for it. You're not going to get everyone maybe, but you might get one, right? And with that in mind, the California Association of Realtors, when you're buying a home, they have a grant right now. You have to apply for it. It's like I say, like sort of a scholarship in my mind. Your realtor has to sponsor you. They download the application. You fill the application out, tell them why you're worthy of the $10,000 grant. You submit it. They're going to pick some people on whatever criteria. And some people are going to get $10,000 in grant money, like scholarship money, but to buy a home. You just have to know, you have to apply, and you have to hope that you get chosen. Okay. I think I'm getting really close on time, so I'm going to go really fast. I want you also to know about a program that currently has money. It's called the WISH grant, W-I-S-H. And the idea of the WISH grant is different. It's not just for veterans. It's to incentivize people to save money. So what they basically said, and they, of course, they had to have some strange numbers, so I'm going to round everything. But they said, look, for every dollar you save towards buying a home up to approximately $7,250, we'll match it if you qualify for our program, $4 to 1 in a grant. After 5 years, you don't have to pay it back. Now, that is about 29 grand that you could apply for and use towards buying a home. It's going to lower the cost of home ownership. It's available today. I would also tell you a trick on that is 29, I think it's 29 lenders were approved this year to give that money out. They compete amongst themselves. So you might want to call a couple of them and say, hey, tell me about the WISH program. Is there anything else I get? Because a couple of years back, I know that some of the large lenders were offering additional smaller grants like 2, 3, or 5,000 that you could stack on top if you came through them and used the program. Again, these are not Calvet programs, but you're welcome to call me and talk about it. Next slide, please. I got to hurry up because I think I'm going too long. Thank you for your patience. I just want to get you this information. I'd love to come visit your college someday. My favorite program is called a mortgage assistance program, but I just prefer everybody call it down payment assistance. I highly, highly recommend, and it will be helping your brother and sister veterans if you do this. Call the city and call the county housing department. Ask them where you're thinking of buying. Ask them, do you have any down payment assistance money? And then they'll tell you if they do or they don't, or about the program. At the end of that, and my poster child for this is Santa Ana, California. They currently offer $120,000 at 0% interest. You don't have to pay it back for 45 years. And they changed their rules for veterans after they've got a lot of veterans calling. I was running around talking about them, I think. They said, Brad, we're no longer requiring people live in the city or work in the city. If they're a veteran coming from anywhere, we'll let them apply. So I want you to ask the city and housing department for the county and the city, will you allow this for veterans coming from anywhere? I just want every county, every city to hear this so much that it becomes the new norm and it starts getting written in that veterans coming from anywhere can apply for this financing. Thanks for helping me with that. Next slide, please. How do you apply for a CalVet loan? It's so simple. We actually changed our website, so it doesn't quite look like this anymore. But if you go to the home loans page at the bottom, there is still a button that says apply now. You click on that, and next slide, please. You get this. This is not that 8-page form. They'll type that out and send it to you to sign, by the way. They'll have you fill this in, which will take about 2 minutes, and you'll submit it, and you'll get an automatic response. It'll say, hey, thanks for applying for your CalVet loan. Someone's going to reach out to you within 48 hours. They don't call on the weekend, so that's business hours. They usually call and email, and it'll tell you, get your DD-214, or if you're active right now, statement of service together, get 2 months bank statements, all pages together, even that last page just had nothing on it. If it is 1 of 8, you got to have all 8 pages. And however you get paid, that's generally what they need to get started. And usually 2-3 days after you've submitted this, it's very possible you'll receive a letter that they send you from the state of California saying you have been approved for up to this amount. It's a fantastic loan program. And I highly recommend you consider calling for help. Next slide, please. I suggest everybody download the PDF every year in case it got updated, because things change, and CalVet is trying to give you the information, trying to say, here's how you go and get money. Here's where you get help. Keep the book on your phone. Next slide, please. This is my direct contact information. So I was at MCRD yesterday, and this came up. Somebody else was talking because their name was sort of like mine. My name, if you look, it's Pedersen with all E's. If you put an O at the end, I won't get the email. And for some reason, we can't have 2 emails. So you've got to put E in to get it to me. Also, the 916-747-4137, it's just a cell phone. And I'm telling you now in advance, if you meet anyone stressing in any kind of a real estate finance related matter, anything at all like that, and they're having problems, I'm not going to try to steal them from their lender, but I will try to help them figure out how to close. And I don't mind getting calls from out of state. I get calls from other states all the time with veterans who are going through a financing issue and the lender doesn't understand their DD-214 or they can't get their COE, something. You're welcome to give my name out, my number out, and say, I have a friend at the state. I know he'd like to talk to you and help you. And actually, if you think I can help a veteran that has any kind of a need, you are welcome to give him my number. Thanks so much for letting me talk, and I hope to stop by and see you sometime.
Great. Outstanding, Brad. Thank you so much for your time and just a wealth of information. I hope that provides some clarity on our CalVet home loan program. And just like Brad said, if you're considering becoming a homeowner, I hope you learn some great tools, great strategies, and just great information about our home loans program. So thanks again, Brad. All right. So at this time, I am going to share with you all the contact information for everybody today, including myself and my colleague, as well as Kevin and Brad's email addresses. You think you had a moment there to take Brad's cell phone information as well. And we're also going to allow some time for any questions that came in. So my colleague, Kirk, has been monitoring the CalTAP questions tab. So Kirk, if there's anything that you'd like to share with the group to go over, we can do that at this time.
Yeah, Derek, so far we have one comment and just a question real quick on, for Brad. Can you still apply for the WISH program even though you've already purchased your home?
No, unfortunately, you would have to apply in advance and be approved. And you have to use their lenders, who's not CalVet. So,
Okay.
No, you wouldn't be able to.
All right, and the same person had a comment about they just mentioned that they didn't know that they could combine the VA with the CalVet loan when they purchased or bought their home. So I think it looks like you've enlightened everyone there, Brad.
Well, and that's so common. I mean, we talk about it, the 4 words, I didn't know that. We hear that all the time. and you'll never see Calvet, at a Super Bowl ad or even a small ad in your newspaper. We really depend upon our veterans to help each other out and get the information out. So I hope all of you have become teachers today and can help spread the word. Thanks.
That's it for the questions, unless anybody else has anything else. I think we're now coming right up at the top of the hour there, Derek.
Yeah, just one last question. Tom asked, how can we find a recording of this webinar? So after we conclude and it gets uploaded to our Zoom cloud, we will go ahead and upload that to our website. It may take a day or so to get on there, but you can always go on our website, calvet.ca.gov, and view our archive webinars, and it will be posted up there as quickly as we can get it up there, concluding today. So that's how you can go back and view this webinar as well as all the other webinars that we've posted on our website as well.
I just put the link in the chat again for the previously recorded webinars and the YouTube channel.
Outstanding, great. All right, just speaking about the things coming up in the future, for the month of May, we're going to be focusing on our healthcare options a little bit. So we do have some webinars on the books. So if you'd like to follow us along through our Eventbrite, our social media, you can always, register for those events and join us again in the future. One last time, I would like to share our QR code for our survey today. So if you just wanted to pull out your smartphone and take a picture of that, it'll send you to a SurveyMonkey link. We do value your feedback. So we do, we just do that to make sure that we're providing you all of the, relevant information for you and your families as well. But other than that, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining us today. Thank you again to Samuel Merritt University for allowing us to host this webinar. We thank you for your military service as well. And yeah, please reach out to us directly if there's anything we can do or provide any assistance in the future. So with that, we'll conclude and have a great rest of your week. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Thanks.